are you? Hi, how are you? Nice to be here again. Today is a very special day for Chile because today is our Independence Day. Today was the first step for our independence, was the first Junta de Gobierno. So this was the beginning of our independence in 1810. So today, since it's Chile's Day, we're going to taste a variety that is supposed to be the Chilean variety that is called Carmenère. But we have a very special Carmenère today. It's called Alto, Las Piedras Carmenère. It's a single vineyard from the Martino winery. It's sourced from Isla de Maipo, in between Maipo Valley, alluvial soil. So we're going to talk a little bit about the wine in detail a little later, but I'm going to tell you a little bit about what is going on right now in Chile. I'm going to pour this wine right now, so when I taste it, it has already been in touch with oxygen, so it has opened up a little bit. Okay, there we go. So today and tomorrow are holiday in Chile. Today is our Independence Day, even though the independence was not signed that day, but it was the beginning, as I told you before. But tomorrow is the military day. So there's a parade where all the military, the Navy, the Air Force, and the police, they march in a special area. But since Friday, this country has been on 18 de septiembre mood. That means that since Friday, everybody left work earlier, usually at noon, and everybody was heading to the beach, to the south, but more than 500,000 people left Santiago last Friday, between Friday and Saturday. So everybody's having a good time. We do what we call fondas, so there are places where you pay an entrance and you can buy some typical Chilean food. And also there's like live music where you can dance from the typical Chilean dance all the way to cumbia, which is Colombian, and reggaeton and everything else. So everybody in this 5 days almost, since Friday until tomorrow, Tuesday, is going to be partying and having a great time. So behind me, there's a video that shows how beautiful is our country and is full of contrast. So here we are, and we're going to go deeply in detail about the Carmenère. Carmenère is the name of the varietal. Carmenère originally was from Bordeaux in France, and after phylloxera was not replanted again, it came from Bordeaux. What is phylloxera? Phylloxera is a disease that devastated the vineyards in the world. The history tells us that they say that the Rothschild family took some vines from California to London. And these vines were not Vitis vinifera, they were Vitis labrusca. And the Vitis labrusca has this characteristic that is resistant to almost all the disease, but it can transmit to others the disease. So, well, they planted in Europe this Vitis labrusca, and after some years, they realized that the vines, the Vitis vinifera, start dying. What phylloxera does is sucks the savia from the vines and eats the roots of the vines as well. So this happens, the crisis was 1878. So to Chile, the first vines introduced mainly from Central Europe were introduced before this, in 1850. And since Chile has natural geographical borders, barriers, it's isolated first by the desert in the north, but the South Pole in the south. On the east, we have the Andes mountain range, and on the west, we have the Pacific Ocean. So phylloxera and a lot of other diseases never arrived to Chile. So the French came to Chile and took some vines of stalks without phylloxera back to France. They planted, but after some years they start dying again. So what they have to do, they have to graft the upper pine of the vine, the Vitis vinifera upper pine of the vines, with the roots, the root stalks of Vitis labrusca. In that way, the vines can resist. So therefore, in the majority of the world, the vines are not pure Vitis vinifera. They're grafted with Vitis labrusca rootstock to resist phylloxera. Okay? So, and when the French took back the vines from Chile, they didn't take Carmenère because Carmenère gave them a really hard time. Carmenère is a very slow ripening variety and needs a lot of sun. And in Europe, especially in Bordeaux, where this grape comes from, the exposition to the sun is not very long. The harvest is very fast, lasts 2 months, and it can rain, can be cloudy. So therefore, Carmenère feels a little bit much more at home in Chile than in Bordeaux, I think. So in Chile, the harvest is very long. We have sunny days and cool nights, so Carmenère can be very exposed to the sun and it can ripe really well. So for that reason, Carmenère was supposed to be extinct in the world. Well, in Chile, with all the varieties that we bought, we have a little bit of everything mixed and we're confused. And we had something that we call our late Merlot. This was a Merlot that was kind of different than the regular Merlot that used to ripen later. Well, in 1994, this French ampelographer was visiting Carmen Winery in Maipo Valley, but Andes Maipo Valley, and they take him to this Merlot vineyards, and he realized that what was in front of him was not Merlot, it was Carmenère. So everybody went, what is that? Well, this is a variety, this and that, telling the Chileans the story. And then we had this big problem because we thought we had something that we called the late Merlot, but was not a Merlot, was something that we called Carmenère, and we didn't know much about Carmenère. So the first winery that made a wine with Carmenère was Carmen Winery, but they didn't label it as Carmenère. They made a blend of Cabernet Sauvignon and Carmenère. Another name for Carmenère is Grand Vidure. So they call it Cabernet Sauvignon Grand Vidure blend. Later, next year, 1996, the first winery who labeled a Carmenère and export a Carmenère was the Martino winery in those years called Santa Ynez. In that time, Santa Ynez only had 2 ranges, the varietal, the introductory range, and the Legado de Armida range. Well, some years have passed, and let me tell you that a lot has been done with Carmenère. First of all, we have to realize when did Carmenère really ripe, when to harvest Carmenère, where to plant Carmenère, what practice in the vineyards we have to do to get the best fruit that we can get. So it was a whole learning process, and many Carmenères, old Carmenères I have tasted in those years were very, very oaky with a high toasted oak. And it smelled a lot like coffee, because when you mix a green Carmenère, because the Carmenère was so green and bad then, with a high toast American oak barrel, in the bottle will evolve. I promise that you will get some coffee notes. Okay, so now we have something totally different from that Legado de Almida or that introductory level Carmenère. We have a single vineyard Carmenère that is called Alto, which means high, Las Piedras, the stones. And the vineyard is called that way because it's full of tones. This is an alluvial terrace. Alluvial soils are full of round stones, and they're soft and round, mainly polished by the water. And this is where the river used to run before. That's why it's an alluvial, it's called alluvial terrace. Okay, so it has a lot of, has an important amount of gravel as well, but also has some clay that is very important for the mouthfeel in the Carmenère. Okay, so let me tell you, first of all, a little bit about the origin of this wine. As I told you before, this is sourced from Isla de Maipo. This is in between mountains, Maipo Valley. So it's between the coastal mountain range and the Andes mountain range. Has an influence, a strong influence from the coast. Even though the vineyard is not that close directly, but since the river, you know, the breeze and the wind comes through the riverbed, it's very windy and breezy, so that refreshes the very warm afternoons. Okay, so first of all, this is 100% Carmenère, and this vineyard was planted in 1992, so it has 31 years already. In this case, we have 100% of Carmenère. The law says we need at least to have 85% of Carmenère in this bottle to label it that way. Can be 100. In Chile, it's only 75%. In Scandinavia, it's only 75%. But usually we go with the international law for the 85%. But in this case, we have 100% Carmenère. Okay. So this wine was harvested manually. Okay, and 100% the steam, and the fermentation took place with native yeast. This is the fermentation was not induced with commercial yeast, was naturally start fermenting by the native yeast that are present in the grapes. Okay, so after the fermentation was ended, which in this case took place in stainless steel tanks. The wine was kept in touch with the skins and the seeds, with the solids, what is called the cap, in order to extract more structure, more volume, more body, more tannins. So was left 10 more days. So the fermentation was ended, and then we had a post-fermentative maceration of 10 more days. Then the wine spent 5 months in a neutral French oak cask of 225 liters. What means neutral? They're not toasted, okay? Or they're older, so the toast is not present, it's gone. And later the wine was kept for 14 more months in a French wooden foudres. They're larger containers, larger wooden containers with less surface of contact with the oak. Okay, let's see what the wine tells us right now. Okay, so wow, this is a beautiful color. I'm gonna use my glasses to see better. So it's a wine that already has 3 years. It has a very deep purple color, very intense. There are many places in Chile, and they're different. That doesn't mean that one is better than the other, but can showcase a different expression of the Carmenère. One unique place is Isla de Maipo. We have this example, but there are other few places they're known for Carmenères as well, are in Los Lingues, which is Colchagua Valley, Apalta, also in Colchagua Valley, and also Peuma, that is in Cachapoal Valley. Okay, and in Isla de Maipo, I would say those places are very special for Carmenère, but how the Carmenère expresses itself is totally different. So here we're in Isla de Maipo, and we're on more the spicy than the yamier side. So we have a lot of spice here. The black pepper is really present, as well as a lot of ripe black fruit. We can feel a little bit of earthiness as well when we stir the glass. Lots of fruit. Now we're gonna feel it in the mouth. In the mouth, you can feel it medium to full body. The silkiness of the tannins has structure. The tannins are soft or smooth. They don't bother you. I'm not eating anything, just the wine. It's very silky. Carmenère has this characteristic. It's really easy to pair with many foods. You can start from the seafood side with fish with fat, like a tuna or salmon, and go through Indian food, Mexican food, Arabic food, Thai food, white meats, red meats, even all the way to lamb. All depends on the type of Carmenère, on the structure of the Carmenère. It's very versatile. For people that don't like the strong tannins in a really good wine of the Cabernet Sauvignon, maybe they feel they're too strong, a nice Carmenère as Alto, las Piedras would be a very good choice. It's good structure, but the changes in the mouth, the changes in the silkiness, in the velvetiness of the tannins that you can feel in your mouth. It's a beautiful Carmenère. Has a lot of personality. It's very distinct from many other Carmenères. And there, as the wine opens up, you can feel, as I told you before, a little bit of more earthiness that is very typical from Carmenère. The black fruit, a little bit of red fruit, but the earthiness, the herbal notes too. Here, the herbaceous notes are low; they're not too high, but the spice is really present. The idea of this channel is to help you. You're abroad, you're far away from Chile, and today I have some places in mainly 3 countries where you can find the Martino wines. There are different ranges, so you can look for them. There are Pinots, there are Sauvignon Blancs, there are Chardonnays, there are Cab Sauv, the special cuvées, there are Pais wines, so many different varieties that you can find. So let me tell you, I have to read this. So in Canada, by the LCBOs, in the vintage stores, and also in the SAQ. In UK, at Waitrose, our Market Spencer, at Majestic, our BBR, Virgin Wines, and our importer is Enotria. In the USA, you can find the Martino wines in Whole Foods, Sprout Farm Market, and the importer is Broadbent Selections. So the idea, again, to have this social media is that the videos are stored, they stay there, you can go back. So if you need some information, remember that here we have where you can find our wines, And also you can search them in the internet. It's really easy to find where our wines are. And I hope you enjoy it. And I'm dressed like this, a little bit like typical wasa, okay? And after I end recording this video for you, I will keep on celebrating with my chupaya, okay? And salud and Viva Chile. Cheers and hooray for Chile.